Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Headbangers Closet. Appreciate all you guys tuning in. So today I want to talk about maybe like a little origin stories kind of deal. Tell you guys a story about the moment I became a heavy metal fan, what actually happened, and what the album and band was that was playing when I discovered it. Full disclosure, I've not really talked about this band very much on this channel, but I'm a big fan of them. I think maybe going forward we will do some episodes of my collection of this band. But anyway, without further ado, the band was Motley Crue. The album was 1983's release, Shout at the Devil. Great album, still in my top 25 best albums of all time, in my opinion. Anyway, so this album came out on September 26, 1983. It was recorded between April and July of 83 at Cherokee Studios in Hollywood, California. And when this album came out, I had just started the second grade at St. Mary's Sacred Heart School, Catholic school, in North Attleboro, Massachusetts. I had just turned, I think, 9 years old a couple weeks earlier in August of 83. So I was kind of a young and impressionable kid. And, like I said, still in my top 25 albums to this day. So not only did it leave an impression on me back then, but it was good enough to kind of stand the test of time as my musical taste changed and I got into much heavier bands. Still love Motley Crue to this day. They're one of my favorite bands. I've seen them dozens of times. I know everybody talks about Vince Neil's vocals and his issues singing these days, but last couple times I saw them on their most recent tours, I thought they sounded great. The farewell tour, the tour they played with Kiss, where they opened with Kiss, I thought they played great. Yeah, Vince isn't belting them out like he was back in the day, but to me it's still a great show. I own everything they've ever put out except for the John Corabi stuff. I didn't like that crap. It is what it is. They are the type of band that we think they are. Not the best musicians. People always make fun of Mick Mars' solos. They're alright in my opinion. Musically, they're not innovators, but what they were doing back in the day with what I call like the sleaze metal, because they were glam and hair bands, but they were sleaze metal in my opinion, with the subject matter, the way they looked, the way they acted. If you don't watch the movie The Dirt, read the book. It's way better. It's more informative, and you kind of get a better understanding of the type of band and type of people they were. Not the greatest people to have in your life unless you just wanted to party for a night. But like I said, great band, really great record, something about it. But let's get into the story. So, like I said, came out September 26, 1983. I was just a kid, second grade. My mom dropped me off for school one day, and I remember it was still kind of warm. So it had to have been right around the exact week or two where the album came out, because once you hit October in Massachusetts, it starts getting kind of cold. And I remember this was a really, really warm day. So morning time, get to school, we're all out there in the playground, playing around how kids tend to do before school starts, And I noticed some of my friends are hanging around with this group of older kids. Now this school was a kindergarten through 8th grade. So some of my friends were hanging around with some older kids, 7th and 8th grade, and they had a boombox. I really couldn't hear what was playing, so I walked over there. And immediately, it was way different from what I had been listening to up to this point, which was my mom's records, which was your Rod Stewart's, your The Monkees, ABBA, Air Supply, the Bee Gees, some of the older Rolling Stones records, and some other stuff like that, Fleetwood Mac, stuff like that. So, not bad stuff, but just completely different, and I was blown away by the sound. Only heard about 2 to 3 minutes of it. Before the school bell rang, we went in. So when recess came after lunch, the same kids walked out there with their boombox, and I was like, I'm going to hang out, listen to it with them. So I did, and listened to about 5 or 6 songs, and one song in particular was Looks That Kill. Just thought it was awesome. I went and asked the guy, I said, hey, the kid, I was like, what band is this? And he took off a baseball cap, and he said, Motley Crue. It was a white cap, and it had the Motley Crue logo and the red pentagram, and then Shout at the Devil on the back. And I was like, holy crap, this thing is phenomenal. And, being in Catholic school, the album called Shout at the Devil, there was that whole sense of rebellion and maybe doing something I wasn't supposed to be doing, which made it even better for me. So I was just immediately drawn in by the guitars and the drums. Like I said at the beginning of the episode, they weren't musical innovators, but the riffs were great because it wasn't anything I ever heard before. Drums were great. I still think Tommy Lee's a good drummer, but just the whole sound of it, everything just appealed to me, and I was hooked. So I went home and I was telling my mom, like, Mom, I'm a big Motley Crue fan. And she's like, okay, honey. She didn't really know or care. And I've talked about my mom before on this channel. Excuse me. She was influential and big reason I've got the collection I've got, because she bought me a lot of the cassette tapes, which I no longer have. I got rid of them. But she also bought me some CDs, as I got older, and I still have all of those. And she was very supportive of me being a huge heavy metal fan. Didn't bother her one bit. She was just glad I was into something, so, But for some reason, she never wanted to buy me this cassette tape. And I don't know whether or not it was because of the album cover or what, or because the name of the album was Shout at the Devil. She never really said anything, but, fast forward a few months to Christmas, my dad comes down to visit, and we went to the record store and saw remember the big, it was like a big barrel. You walked through this big wooden barrel into the record store and had a huge poster on the wall of Motley Crue. The album was huge. They were doing the tour, I believe, with Ozzy, and they were blowing up. And the big poster on the wall, I asked my dad, I was like, Dad, these guys are awesome. Can you buy me the cassette tape? And he's like, well, what does your mom think? I said, well, she said I can have it as long as my report card's good, and you saw my report card was good, so can I get it? He's like, yeah, sure. So he bought it for me, and the album cover was this version, not the album. This was the cassette tape, so it wasn't the album Pentagram version, which the Pentagram version is way better. But he bought it, and I listened to it, and much like Metallica later, I studied every note, every lyric, every drum beat. I knew that record front to back. Started getting Hit Parader and Metal Edge magazines at the grocery store. Anytime there was Motley Crue, take the photo out, put it on my wall. I thought they were awesome. And I started getting into Rat and Dawkins and Twisted Sister, Quiet Riot after that, because I had MTV. So I was getting into a lot of that stuff. But Motley Crue was the band that started it all. And Shout at the Devil, the album, started it all. So let's get into the record real quick. And as I said before, I'm still a huge fan to this day. I never stopped being a Motley Crue fan. I just got into other bands like Metallica, Megadeth, Slayer, Iron Maiden, Judas Priest, Death, bands like that. But I still love Motley Crue to this day. And this is the record. This is the gatefold version, original pressing. It's in pretty bad shape. There's big, huge picture of the dude. The same thing that's on the CD and the cassette, just bigger. There's the back. Pretty cool with the pentagram. Lyrics. This one's on the Elektra Records. It's the first U.S. pressing on Elektra Records. I picked this up on Discogs a while back. Nothing special, just an Elektra Records record. Really, really cool to have. The only thing that's missing from that original press is the insert, which is the fan club send away form. So track listings, we all know them. You got the really cool pseudo instrumental with maybe a little bit Nikki Sixx superimposed type of voice, whatever. He's got that voice effect on there. Intro, which is in the beginning, excuse me, goes right to Shout at the Devil. Looks to Kill, Bastard, God Bless the Children of the Beast, and the Beatles cover Helter Skelter. Side 2, in my opinion, is better. You got Red Hot, Too Fast for Love, Knock 'Em Dead Kid, which is my favorite Motley Crue song, 10 Seconds to Love, and Danger. Here's the CD. This is a remaster from Elektra Records I got later on in life, I think probably around high school. Some pictures of the band, picture of Nikki Sixx and the lyrics. Tommy Lee. Old ass Mick Mars. And Vince Neil. And look at this picture of Vince Neil. And then this one. And like I said, got into this band when I was a kid. You can understand that as a 9-year-old kid, I maybe for a week thought Vince Neil was a girl. In fact, for the first week, I thought the singer for the Runaways was in Motley Crue. This was her new band. Just for a week. And I was a little kid, so don't give me any shit for it. Obviously, figured out he was a guy. And the rest is basically history. Been a huge fan all my life. They'll always have a special place in my heart as the band that started it all. And, you know, I'll be honest, 8th grade, you know, whatever it was, just after Girls, Girls, Girls came out, and which is in 87, so I was like in the 6th or 7th grade. A couple years later, they were on tour with it. I thought they were the coolest dudes, because every time they were in one of the magazines, they always had all the chicks, and they had fancy cars. So I was like, this is the way to go, being in a band like Motley Crue, you know. But obviously, I got into heavier stuff later on, right around 88, 89, actually, with Metallica and Megadeth and, you know, Slayer and stuff like that. But still love Motley Crue to this day. Like I said, I've seen them a dozen times. I've got everything they've ever did. I'll probably do a Motley Crue episode later on, maybe a couple of them, you know, as this channel goes forth. But what really captured it for me was the music. I've said it before, they're not great musicians as a whole. I think Nikki Sixx is a pretty good songwriter. The lyrics can sometimes get a little cheesy, a little iffy, but the content was always there. The sex, drugs, rock and roll was always there, and as a kid, you know, that kind of what, you know, kind of pulls you in a little bit as a, you know, impressionable kid. That, and then the imagery with the kind of sleaze metal and pentagrams and the song titles like Shout at the Devil and stuff like that, really pulled you in as an impressionable kid, and still stand up to this day, in my opinion. So let me know what you think about in the comments down below. Let me know what you think about the album Shout at the Devil. Let me know what you think about Motley Crue, the band, the tours, you know, whatever you want to talk about. Are they a glam band only, or are they good enough to be something a little bit more, which I believe they are. And, you know, hit that like and subscribe button if you hadn't already. I appreciate it. Go find me on Instagram, Headbangers Closet. I'll follow back as best I can. I post pictures of my collection. I post pictures of, you know, photos I've taken at live shows, just a bunch of other random stuff. And, yeah, hit me up on that, and we'll have another video for you guys this weekend. As always, cheers, guys.